Hey YouTube, let's talk. Serious discussion time here. I want to talk about the way we perceive things and how it really describes us as people instead of really what we're perceiving. To do this, I'm going to talk about this book, why it's my favourite book, and what that kind of says about me. So first things first, one of my favourite things about Paper Towns is that it says something about the way we perceive each other, which is something that I find endlessly fascinating. And I want to read a few excerpts of this and try and explain my feelings about this novel. I hope that we can have like a discussion about this because that would be really lovely. So first things first, I would like to read a passage from late on in the book where Q is talking to his parents. Q, the main character, is talking to his two psychiatrist parents. It's one of my favourite passages. "The longer I do my job," he said, "the more I realise that humans lack good mirrors. It's so hard for anyone to show us how we look, and so hard for us to show anyone how we feel." "That's really lovely," my mum said. "But isn't it also that on some fundamental level we find it difficult to understand that other people are human beings in the same way that we are? We idolize them as gods or dismiss them as animals." True. Consciousness makes for poor windows too. I don't think I'd ever thought about it that way. I was sitting back, I was listening, and I was hearing something about her and about windows and mirrors. Chuck Parson was a person. Like me, Margot Ross Spiegelman was a person too. And I had never quite thought of her that way, not really. It was a failure of all my previous imaginings, all along, not only since she left, but for a decade before. I had been imagining her without listening, without knowing that she made as poor a window as I did. And so I could not imagine her as a person who could feel fear, who could feel isolated in a room full of people, who could be shy about her record collection because it was too personal to share. Someone who might read travel books to escape having to live in the town so many people escape to. Someone who, because no one really thought she was a person, had no one to really talk to. And all at once I knew how Margot Ross Spiegelman had felt when she wasn't being Margot Ross Spiegelman. She felt empty. She felt the unscalable walls surrounding her. I thought of her asleep on the carpet with only that jagged sliver of sky above her. Maybe Margot felt comfortable there because Margot the person lived like that all the time. In an abandoned room with blocked out windows, the only light pouring in through holes in the roof. Yes, the fundamental mistake I had always made, and that she, in fairness, had always led me to make, was this. Margot was not a miracle. She was not an adventure. She was not a fine and precious thing. She was a girl. I personally adore that section because there's something about the way we try and view people to see ourselves, which is, it's divine. I like this idea that we can't truly see another person until we are cracked. And that's one of my favourite passages in this book. The metaphors of death is, there's something about the way we imagine death and the way we imagine anything which truly says something about us instead of what we're trying to talk about. The way these characters act in situations says more about them than it does about the situation. I'm endlessly fascinated by people and the way we perceive them, the way we act, and the way they view the world. And one of my favourite things about this book is that it looks at all of that. You see how Margot views the world, and you see how Quentin views the world, and you see how they view each other due to this. And the metaphors in the mirrors is lovely because Q, after he realises that he keeps coming back to it, there's a portion soon after where they're all talking about what they think is happening to Margot and where she is, and Q says to himself, "A Margot for each of us, and each more mirror than window," because he has finally realised that the reason all of these people have so many different views of Margot is because they don't see Margot, they see what they want to. And when they do find Margot, each of them have this realization in different manners for each of them that even though they have all fallen in love in a manner with their view of Margot, this Margot will not live up to that expectation. Radar says, "I never knew you until I got to know you through your clues. I like the clues more than I like you." When we think about people, what we do is we put them on this pedestal and that pedestal is our expectations of what they should be and our views of them. And when we realise that they are not that, it kind of breaks us. We crack in a manner, if you understand the reference to this book. And it says something. This book really means a lot to me. And I feel like that in a way shows, it says something about me and how I view everything. I'd like to see the world as everyone is flat out what they seem, that everyone is a perfect window, I suppose, and I can see through them to themselves. But that's not how it works. We are not windows, we are mirrors, and we crack and we fail and we don't understand one another, and that's okay. And this book, in a manner, has taught me that I must view people as people. What a treacherous thing to believe that a person is more than a person. And that's the lesson we all have to learn. And I feel, in a manner, I might just have learnt it.